Reactive attachment disorder, aka RAD, was discovered in 1980 and in Reactive attachment disorder, aka RAD, was discovered in 1980 and in 2013. The diagnosis was updated into two sections: inhibited and disinhibited. If they are diagnosed with inhibited, they are unresponsive to emotional stimulus and usually very reclusive. If they have the diagnosis of disinhibited, they are fearless when it comes to adults and strangers. They would actually prefer the stranger over their primary caregiver. This is typically found in children between 9 months and 5 years of age. Symptoms for children diagnosed with reactive attachment disorder are the failure to show emotions, the avoidance of physical contact and emotional contact with caregivers, a lack of social interaction, as I said, very reclusive, no interest in interactive games like peekaboo with infants, and a lack of fear in non-caregivers, that is if they're diagnosed with the disinhibited. Indicators to psychologists trying to diagnose them would be they don't seek Indicators for psychologists trying to diagnose them would be they don't seek comfort when in distress, or they don't react to the comfort when in distress. Their history. I can do this. Indicators for psychologists when they are trying to diagnose these children is they don't seek comfort when in distress, or no reaction to comfort when in distress. Their history of insufficient care is usually a good one. It's not usually a good one. What the fuck should I say? History of care. Indicators for psychologists trying to diagnose kids with this, they don't seek comfort when in distress, or no reaction to comfort when in distress. Their history is a good indicator, usually if they have an insufficient care or a lot of changes in their caregivers by living in an orphanage, usually. They have unexplained irritation or other emotions when interacting with caregivers that is not normal to be seen for their age group. The causes would be negligence, physically and emotionally, by the caregiver. The consistent change of the caregiver would not allow them to have a mutual bond, causing a distrust in any new caregiver that they are given. Situations where a child only gets attention by being disruptive also does not allow for trust to be formed. The treatments and preventions, there's only really one treatment, and that's ensuring the child is given a stable environment and usually one caregiver so that trust can be built. There are preventions though, basically learning the child's cues of when you need to interact with them and when they need to be taken care of to build trust. Be active and engage with the child, so, playing peekaboo with an infant builds trust. Verbal and nonverbal responses to the child. If they're crying, you hold them, gains trust, teaches them that you're not bad. Controversial therapies, no data has actually confirmed that these work, and they have Controversial therapies. There's no scientific data that has confirmed if these actually work, and they have resulted in deaths of the child, so that makes them even more controversial. First one being rebirthing, which is the wrapping of the child in blankets to simulate birth, and holding therapy, which is holding the child, restraining the child, forcing a range of emotions until resisting stops, usually for either a specific amount of time or until they will make eye contact with whoever is restraining them. Questions. An example of a controversial therapy for reactive attachment disorder is A. Holding therapy, B. Giving the child a stable environment, C. Actively engaging with the child. The answer is A. Holding therapy. If a child has disinhibited reactive attachment disorder, they will A. refuse to seek or receive affection from caregivers, B. be withdrawn and unresponsive to emotions, C. keep to themselves, D. prefer strangers over their own caregivers. The answer is D. 3. The typical age range of reactive attachment disorder is 15 to 20 years old, 9 months to 5 years old, or C. 7 to 11 years old. The answer is B.